In the far reaches of the Andromeda sector, amidst the swirling mists of the Nebulon cloud, there floated the derelict carcass of a ship known only by its faded insignia, Odyssey. The Odyssey had been adrift for centuries, a silent monument to the forgotten ambitions of an empire long crumbled. Inside, the galaxy's most feared creature lay dying. The creature was known as the Vraxilian Beast, a massive scaled being capable of tearing apart titanium hulls with its bare claws. Legends of its ferocity had spread across systems, deterring even the most audacious scavengers from approaching the Odyssey. But as formidable as it was, the Vraxilian Beast was the last of its kind, a species hunted to extinction for the exotic interstellar trade market. On a small planet on the edge of the Nebulon cloud, a human veterinarian named Dr. Ilara Miles operated a clinic for all manner of exotic species. Ilara had left Earth years ago, driven by a passion to help creatures that others deemed too dangerous or too alien. Her clinic was a motley of odd structures, each tailored to a specific environment needed by her patients. One evening, as Ilara was tending to a wounded Zarquil bird, her assistant Jax burst into the room. Jax was a bright-eyed young man, whose fascination with alien life forms made him an eager, if sometimes overzealous, apprentice. "Dr. Miles, you need to see this," Jax panted, holding up a flickering hologram. The image was grainy, but it showed the unmistakable form of the Vraxilian Beast. "Where did you get this?" Ilara asked, her interest piqued. "It's a live feed from a drone that stumbled across the Odyssey. It's broadcasting from the Nebulon cloud," Jax explained, excitement coloring his voice. Ilara studied the beast's labored movements and the telltale signs of its deteriorating condition. "It's dying, Jax. Without intervention, it won't last much longer." "But it's the last of its kind. Isn't there something we can do?" Jax's voice was a mixture of awe and desperation. Ilara hesitated, weighing the risks of intervening with a creature known for its deadly nature. But her resolve, the core of her mission to heal, quickly solidified. "Prepare the shuttle," she said with determined calm. "We're going to save the Vraxilian Beast." The journey through the Nebulon cloud was treacherous. The shuttle bucked and dipped as stellar winds battered its shields. Ilara and Jax worked tirelessly to stabilize their craft as they navigated through the thickening mist. Upon arriving at the Odyssey, they donned their exosuits and ventured into the hollowed remains of the ship. The air was stale, the corridors dark and silent except for the distant groans of the dying beast. They found it in the ship's central bay, its once glistening scales now dull and flaked with lesions. Ilara approached cautiously, her medical scanner humming softly as she took readings. The beast's golden eyes, each the size of a dinner plate, watched her with an intelligence that belied its savage reputation. "Easy there," she murmured, reaching out a gloved hand. "I'm here to help." To her surprise, as the days morphed into weeks aboard the derelict Odyssey, Dr. Ilara Miles found herself deeply engrossed in the care of the Vraxilian Beast, which she affectionately began to call Vrax. Despite Jax's initial reservations about naming such a fearsome creature, he too grew fond of the beast, often seen talking to Vrax as if it were a common pet rather than the last of a legendary species. The improvement in Vrax's health was miraculous, sparking curiosity not just in its physiology, but also in its potential understanding of human speech and emotions. Ilara theorized that Vrax's species might have been more sentient than anyone had previously imagined, a hypothesis that she tested with increasingly complex interactions. One morning, Ilara brought a device that projected holographic images, hoping to gauge Vrax's cognitive responses. To her astonishment, Vrax showed clear signs of recognition when images of other Vraxilian beasts and various celestial bodies appeared. It was a breakthrough, suggesting not just intelligence, but cultural memory. "Jax, look at this!" Ilara exclaimed, pointing to the way Vrax's eyes followed the moving constellations. It's possible that Vraxilians had some form of astronomical knowledge or even navigation skills. Jax watched, wide-eyed. So they might have been spacefarers or at least star watchers. That's incredible. The implications of Vrax's heritage reshaped their mission. It was no longer just about saving an endangered creature. It was about preserving a fragment of galactic history. But as they delved deeper into their endeavor, The isolation of the Nebulan cloud and the confines of the Odyssey began to weigh on them. Supplies were dwindling, and the constant exposure to the alien environment took its toll. Despite the hardships, a profound bond formed between Alara, Jax, and Vrax. The beast, once the galaxy's most feared predator, now showed a gentleness reserved only for its caretakers. It seemed to understand their efforts, often nudging them affectionately with its massive head or emitting low purrs that vibrated through the ship's metal floors. One evening, as Alara and Jax discussed plans to possibly relocate Vrax to a more suitable habitat, an alarm blared through the ship. The surveillance system they had rigged up was alerting them to an approaching spacecraft. Someone or something had detected their presence in the Nebulan cloud. "Damn, we're not alone here," Jax muttered as he scrambled to the control panel. "Looks like a scavenger ship. They must be after the Odyssey's tech, or maybe even Vrax." Alara felt a surge of protectiveness. "We can't let them take Vrax, not after everything we've done." They prepared for the worst. Alara armed herself and Jax with stun rifles, though she hoped they wouldn't need to use them. As the scavenger ship docked, Alara and Jax hid near the entrance, watching as several figures entered. The scavengers were a ragtag group, armed and clearly experienced in this kind of illegal salvage operation. They moved with purpose, communicating in hushed tones. Alara whispered to Jax, "Let them think the ship is empty. We'll ambush them if they head towards Vrax." The plan was risky, but they had the element of surprise, or so they thought. As the scavengers advanced, Vrax itself decided to intervene. With a thunderous roar that shook the entire ship, Vrax emerged from the shadows, its scales shimmering menacingly under the flickering lights. The scavengers froze, terror overtaking their features. They had heard legends of the Vrax. In the aftermath of the skirmish with the scavengers, the halls of the Odyssey seemed to resonate with a newfound peace. Vrax, now not just a patient but a guardian, patrolled the corridors with a quiet authority, his health and spirits bolstered by his protector's unwavering commitment. Dr. Alara Miles and Jax returned to their daily routines, but the encounter had left an indelible mark, embedding a deeper sense of purpose in their mission. As Alara delved further into the ship's ancient databases, she uncovered more about the Vraxilian beast's past. They had indeed been spacefarers, their civilization reaching the stars long before humanity had even conceived of interstellar travel. This revelation propelled Alara to think of Vrax not as the last of its kind, but as a bridge to a lost civilization. "Jax, look at this!" Alara called out one day, her eyes wide with excitement as she deciphered an old log on the ship's computer. The Vraxilians were not just beasts. They were revered as celestial guides and protectors by several ancient cultures. Vrax's ancestors helped navigate trade routes across galaxies. Jax, repairing a piece of equipment nearby, looked over. "So they were like living compasses? That's epic, but it makes their extinction even sadder." Alara nodded, her expression somber. "We have a responsibility, Jax. Not just to Vrax, but to his heritage. We need to find a way to share this knowledge. Maybe there's a planet, or a sanctuary where Vrax can live out his days, and where scholars can learn from him." The quest to find such a place took them deeper into uncharted territories. They charted courses through ancient star maps found in the Odyssey's archives, hoping to locate any surviving records or perhaps even distant relatives of Vraxilian lineage. During their journey, Alara and Jax trained Vrax to respond to basic commands and to interact with various technological tools, aiding in their research. Vrax proved to be an astute learner, quickly adapting to their requests. His ability to understand and interact with technology only solidified Alara's belief in the intelligence and advanced nature of his species. Weeks turned into months, and their search brought them to a secluded sector rumored to house a planetary system untouched by modern explorers. The system, hidden within the folds of a nebula, was marked on an ancient star chart as a Vraxilian refuge. As they approached the coordinates, the sensors aboard their ship picked up unusual energy readings. A planet, lush and verdant, orbited serenely around a stable star, the energy pattern suggesting a rich ecosystem below. "This could be it, Alara. A real sanctuary," Jax exclaimed, peering at the sensor data with hopeful eyes. Alara felt a thrill of anticipation mixed with anxiety. Let's not get ahead of ourselves. We need to make sure it's safe and suitable for Vrax. They landed on the planet, a world teeming with exotic flora and fauna, the air thick with the scents of alien flowers and the calls of unseen creatures. As Vrax stepped onto the surface, his demeanor changed. He became more alert, his eyes scanning the horizon, his body tense as if recognizing something intrinsic about the place. Elara and Jax set up a temporary camp, conducting environmental tests and exploring the surrounding area. To their amazement, they discovered ancient structures, overgrown with vegetation but Months had passed since Dr. Elara Miles, Jax, and Vrax, the last Vraxilian beast, made the lush, uncharted planet their home and base of operations. The research hub, dubbed Vraxilian Legacy Sanctuary, began to attract the attention of scholars, historians, and biologists from across the galaxy. The sanctuary not only offered a safe haven for Vrax, but also became a living library of the ancient Vraxilian culture and biology. Elara's days were filled with coordinating research efforts, guiding tours for visiting academics, and continuing her personal studies on Vrax. She marveled at how the once feared beast had become an ambassador for his species, his gentle demeanor disproving millennia of misconceptions and myths. One crisp morning, as the alien sun cast a golden glow over the verdant fields of the sanctuary, a delegation from the Galactic Historical Society arrived. Among them was Dr. Hiram Velasquez, a renowned historian known for his work on extinct civilizations. His interest in the project was both a boon and a challenge for Elara, who hoped to persuade the society to fund a permanent museum on the site. "Dr. Miles, your work here is groundbreaking," Dr. Velasquez commented as they walked through the sprawling grounds, Vrax ambling quietly beside them. "However, how do you plan to ensure the preservation of both this site and Vrax himself? He is, after all, the last of his kind." Elara nodded, understanding the weight of his question. "We've initiated a genetic study to explore cloning possibilities, but more than replicating Vrax biologically, we want to resurrect the cultural and historical significance of his species. This museum would serve as a beacon of learning, not just about Vraxilian beasts, but about how interconnected our galaxy's history truly is." Velasquez looked impressed, his gaze lingering on Vrax. "Indeed, this could serve as a model for other conservation efforts. I'll champion your proposal to the Society." With the potential funding secured, Elara felt a surge of hope. However, the task ahead was daunting. They needed to construct facilities that respected the natural habitat and continued to offer a safe environment for Vrax. Architectural plans were drawn up, blending modern technology with ancient Vraxilian architectural styles, ensuring that the sanctuary maintained its historical integrity. Meanwhile, Jax took on the role of educating the public about their mission. He developed interactive holographic displays that detailed Vrax's journey and the history of his species. These exhibits, coupled with live feeds showing Vrax in his natural environment, quickly became a highlight for visitors. As the sanctuary grew, so did Vrax's role within it. Elara trained him to interact safely with visitors, using non-verbal commands to guide him during public appearances. Vrax seemed to relish his role, often initiating playful interactions that delighted guests and helped shift public perception of his species from fearsome predators to intelligent and sentient beings. One evening, as Elara sat watching a holographic replay of Vrax's first public appearance, she realized the profound impact of their work. Vrax was not just surviving, he was thriving, becoming a symbol of hope and a bridge between the past and the future. However, just as the sanctuary seemed on the brink of achieving its full potential, a new challenge emerged. A message arrived from a distant sector, claiming the discovery of a remote planet with ruins that suggested a long-lost Vraxilian outpost. The implications were enormous. Could there be more survivors? Was Vrax truly the last of his kind? Elara and Jax faced a pivotal decision. Should they investigate this new lead, potentially upending all they had built, or focus on the sanctuary that had become their home and Vrax's haven? With the stars twinkling above and Vrax resting at her side, Elara felt the weight of history on her shoulders. Her next choice would define the legacy of the Vraxilian beasts, and possibly rewrite the history of the galaxy itself. The journey was far from over, and the stars called to them, hinting at secrets yet to be uncovered. The news of the potential Vraxilian outpost sent ripples through the sanctuary. Scholars debated, scientists speculated, and the media swarmed the sanctuary with questions. Dr. Alara Miles and Jax found themselves at a crossroads, each path laden with uncertainty but also ripe with potential. Alara convened a meeting with the sanctuary's leading researchers and stakeholders. "We have a unique opportunity," she began, her voice steady despite the flutter of nerves. "This new discovery could change everything we know about the Vraxilian beasts. It might even mean that Vrax isn't the last of his kind." The room buzzed with excitement and skepticism. Dr. Hiram Velasquez, now a frequent visitor and supporter, raised a pertinent question. "If we pursue this, what happens to the sanctuary? We've built something extraordinary here. Can we afford to shift our focus?" Alara acknowledged the concern with a nod. "We've established a foundation here that won't easily be shaken. I propose a reconnaissance mission to the outpost. We'll gather data and assess the situation before making any decisions about our long-term focus." After much discussion, the consensus was clear. A small team, led by Alara and accompanied by Jax, would travel to the newly discovered planet, leaving the sanctuary under the capable management of their team. Preparations for the journey were meticulous. The sanctuary buzzed with activity as supplies were gathered, research equipment checked, and the shuttle readied. Vrax, sensing the anticipation and perhaps the anxiety of his friends, became unusually pensive, his large eyes watching every preparation. The morning of departure, Alara approached Vrax, who lay in his custom-built habitat, a structure that mirrored the ancient Vraxilian architecture. "We're going to find out if there are more like you, Vrax," she said softly, stroking his scales. "But this will always be your home." With a low purr, Vrax nudged her gently, as if understanding her words, or perhaps sensing the importance of their mission. The journey to the outpost was fraught with challenges. The planet was located in a rarely traveled segment of the galaxy, known for its unpredictable space currents and dense asteroid fields. Navigation required precision and patience, but eventually, Alara and Jax landed on a desolate, rocky planet. The planet was starkly different from the lush sanctuary they had left behind. Wind howled through jagged cliffs, and the air was tinged with a metallic scent. Using the coordinates from the initial discovery message, they located the ruins, a series of structures partially buried under sand and rock. "It looks like a Vraxilian military outpost," Jax observed as they explored the site, his scanner lighting up with data. "These symbols are similar to those we've seen in Vrax's sanctuary." Alara recorded everything, her mind racing with possibilities. They collected samples, took images, and deployed drones to survey the area from above. As they worked, Alara couldn't shake the feeling of being watched. On the third day, as they were about to return to their camp, the ground beneath them trembled. Sand and rocks shifted, revealing what looked like an underground chamber. Heart-pounding, Alara and Jax descended into the darkness, their lights piercing the gloom. Inside, they found more than just relics or inscriptions. Huddled against the far wall were creatures. Vraxilian beasts, but small. The discovery of the surviving Vraxilian beasts reshaped the mission and vision of the Vraxilian Legacy Sanctuary. Dr. Alara Miles and Jax, having confirmed the existence of Vrax's kin, began planning the integration of these newfound creatures into their conservation efforts. The excitement was palpable, not just among the sanctuary staff, but across the broader scientific community and the public. The news that Vrax was not the last of his kind ignited a galaxy-wide interest in the preservation and study of this ancient species. Back at the outpost, initial attempts to communicate with the newly discovered Vraxilians were cautious. These creatures, while resembling Vrax in appearance, exhibited a wariness and subtle differences in behavior that suggested a divergent evolutionary path, possibly due to their isolated environment. Alara documented every interaction, taking care not to overwhelm the creatures. "We need to earn their trust, just like we did with Vrax," she advised her team. "They used food as a primary means of interaction, which proved successful in building a rapport. Once trust was established, Alara and Jax transported the creatures to the sanctuary. The integration was a delicate process, involving careful monitoring of both Vrax and his kin's health and behavior. Vrax's reaction to seeing others of his kind was profound. His vocalizations, deep, resonant tones, filled the sanctuary, evoking responses from his long-lost relatives. The sanctuary expanded, constructing environments that mimicked the outpost's terrain alongside the lush habitats already in place. Researchers and xenobiologists from various fields converged on the sanctuary, eager to study the Vraxilians and contribute to the burgeoning field of xenological conservation. Meanwhile, the story of the Vraxilian beast's survival and discovery made headlines, leading to increased funding and donations from across the galaxy. Alara leveraged this support to establish educational programs and public outreach, promoting not just awareness, but active participation in conservation efforts. The key to our future, Alara often said during her seminars, lies in understanding and preserving the past. These creatures are not just remnants of biological heritage, they are bearers of cultural and historical legacies. As the sanctuary thrived, so did the relationship between humans and Vraxilians. Children visited on field trips, their eyes wide with wonder as they watched Vrax and his kin interact in their habitats. These visits not only educated the younger generations, but also inspired a new wave of conservationists dedicated to preserving interstellar biodiversity. One significant development was the creation of a Vraxilian cultural repository within the sanctuary. This center housed artifacts, data, and holographic records from the outpost, offering visitors insights into the Vraxilian way of life, their astronomical knowledge, and their navigational skills. Dr. Hiram Velasquez, who had become a regular at the sanctuary, commented on the cultural impact of their work. By preserving their culture, you are not just saving a species, you are keeping a galaxy's history alive. This sanctuary has become a testament to the resilience and diversity of life. The culmination of their efforts came when Alara and her team organized the first galactic symposium on